Coming up next, an interview with the singer of a 70s band with one of the most fascinating song stories of that decade. His band had 2 number-1 hits in the 70s, but he was a one-hit wonder in America. Try to guess the band and the song. There were 2 hits that were written by the same songwriting team. Today's band recorded the first one, and it hit number 1 in the UK. But out of nowhere, before they could release their version in America, another band beat them to the punch and put out their version and went straight to number 1. It was kind of a copy of theirs. So this band hurried and recorded a follow-up hit, and it became their second massive hit in the UK and their only number 1 hit in America. People have tried to figure out this song, if it's a true story or if it's just fiction. Find out next. Hey, music junkies, Professor of Rock, always here to celebrate the greatest artists and the greatest songs of all time. You know, if you remember the church lady getting smacked by Sean Penn on Saturday Night Live, you're going to dig this channel of deep musical nostalgia. Make sure to subscribe below right now. Click the bell so you always know when our stuff comes out. So it's time for another edition of our series Bottle Lightning, where we celebrate a great one-hit wonder that captured our hearts and our ears. Today's story is a strange one. It's about a song that had 4 big hits in the UK, but they were a one-hit wonder here in America. They should have had 2 straight number 1 hits in America, but another band beat them to the punch. I have the lead singer of the band in question with us today. He's going to tell you the story. Here's the interview. The classic, The Night Chicago Died.
Yeah.
One of the biggest singles in 1974 and just irresistible.
When the town of Chicago died.
It was the most requested song at virtually every radio station from coast to coast. Like one of those gangster movies from the 30s and 40s, adapted into a song recounting a fictional shootout between Chicago police and the hoodlums that worked for the mobster Al Capone. It's just one of those songs that you remember it. I love what Jack Black did with it.
The night Laura's daddy died.
So tell me, what was your interpretation of the song and how it came to you guys?
Mitch Murray they're very pro-America. Mitch Murray and Pete Callender. They've written lots of things where they've had an obvious American influence, and we were dressed up as Union soldiers, and when we did the thing on Top of the Pops in UK. And then when we did the Night Chicago Died, we were dressed as gangsters.
I heard a brave the night Chicago died.
Bit of a wrong steer, in actual fact, because the song is about a cop and his family, and thankfully, people interpreted it that way. It wasn't, the gangsters winning, even though we were dressed as gangsters.
With the forces of the law, I heard my mama cry.
But it did take an upsurge, and it was a big favourite, we were told, by the first wave's emergency services, the firemen, the cops, the ambulance people in America. They sort of really liked it. It tells the story of a cop going home to his family, and I think that bit sticks. Yeah, because it goes back and, after a terrible night, he goes back to his family and kisses his wife and back to his wife and kids, yeah.
And he kissed my mama's face and he brushed her tears away. The night Chicago.
And I think that part of it hit home.
The hero's a cop who fought the mobsters and then triumphantly returned to his family, who were a nervous wreck, praying that their daddy would survive a ferocious gunfight in the middle of the night.
Sound of the battle rang through the streets of the...
It's interesting that Murray or Callender had been in the U.S., but neither of them had been to Chicago when they wrote The Night Chicago Died, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Through the streets of the old east side.
That's Mitch Murray all over. He'll sort of stick with a lyric, and that's it. And it doesn't matter whether it's wrong. It's there.
When a man named Al Capone tried to make that town his own.
Well, when you track American history, I mean, during Al Capone's reign of organized crime, I think it was 1925 to 1931, it was an era where most, if not all, of the Chicago Police Department was on his payroll. right? And they wouldn't dare cross him. So a battle of, good versus evil that the song depicts would have been very unlikely, but it works in the song. Did you and your bandmates really send the song to the mayor of Chicago,
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Richard
yeah.
Daley?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've still got a copy of the letter because it appeared in the Daily Mirror back in the UK, because it was quite a story. This is how a British band that's had a number one, it was received in Chicago by this tyrant, Nick Daley. Because I understand he wasn't a very nice chap either.
That's what history remembers that as. Who had that idea? Like, where'd that come from?
It's record company, isn't it? It's sort of we can get some mileage on this. We can do this. We can do that. Yeah, I mean, we've never toured the States. How crazy is that? A band that gets a number one over there, and so many people, British bands, have tried and failed to sort of make it in America, and we did.
Why was it that you didn't tour?
In those days, organizing a tour overseas was a mammoth task, and you couldn't do it on your own, and you couldn't do it one-sided. You had to have somebody in the country that you wanted to tour, surveying it all and sorting it all out. And so it fell to the record company to actually help bands come over. And Mercury said that we don't need the band over here. We get a number one without the band, and they didn't help us at all. So we've never toured. I'm still trying to get over there, but we're still talking to people, because I believe the nostalgia side of things could work for us.
Did you ever get any feedback on when you sent the song to Mayor Richard Daley?
Nothing specific. No, just this letter that was purported to have been sent by him to back to us, as a reply. But we didn't know about the initial letter. It was somebody in the and then it explained, that the record, some guy marketing for Mitch and Pete sent the letter, and then he said, "Yeah, I sent the letter, and this is the rebuff I got."
That's a great little moment. I mean, there's so many cool little stories about the night Chicago died, and this just being one of them, that it's rich history, of this song.
But one of the nice moments for me was Elton John came up to me at Top of the Pops with his hand outstretched and said, "Congratulations on your number one in the States." And I was just gobsmacked, because he's, he was hero, just amazing.
Well, The Night Chicago Died, I mean, it's a novelty song, but it's so well done. There's so many novelty songs that were huge in the 70s, but this is one that has lasted so long. How was the siren effect simulated for the intro of the song? I was always curious. I was showing my kids the song last night, because as a kid, I grew up with it and heard it, and they thought that was so cool.
Yeah, I think it was Mitch got hold of it from a BBC sound effects tape. He was looking for this siren thing, and it just this sort of going over, and then they just linked it in 3 times to give an effect of a sort of police car at the time, or warning siren at the time. Yeah.
Well, what was used to create a sitting on pins and needles effect for the line in the song, and there was no sand at all but the clock upon the wall?
The clock upon the wall. Then the door.
Yeah, that was pure Mitch Murray. That was he said, I've got this idea right in the middle that people take stock of where they are, and just before the cop comes home, everybody's sort of bated breath. I wonder how things went, and it's just the time, the ticking of the clock, which is possibly, in that scenario, was probably what his family were doing, just watching the clock, waiting for the dad to come home.
I have a really fun memory with it when I was growing up. My dad passed away 5 years ago, but when I was just a little kid, I remember the song coming on the radio and my dad singing it, and singing it to me and doing the hand gestures and different things. Brother, what a time it really was,
Yeah,
and that's why when I saw Jack Black do that, it reminded me of my dad.
Brother, what a night it really
It was just a sweet memory that every time I hear the song now, I think of my dad and think of those memories.
That's good music, isn't it? That's what it does. It takes you back.
For sure. It takes you right. It's a time machine.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, how did you approach the lead vocal for The Night Chicago Died? Because you had to deliver the storytelling narrative and also sing verses and a very animated chorus, right?
I heard a pray the night Chicago died.
When the door burst open wide and my daddy stepped inside, it's sung with a bit more sort of anticipation.
Then the door burst open wide and my daddy stepped inside.
The chorus is quite gritty, and it's gritty where about 100 cops are dead. It's sort of shouted rather than sung.
And I asked someone who said about 100 cops are dead. I heard my
Again, Mitch Murray was the director. He was he said, "Well, do this, and sing it like that, and sing it, And he was very much. I was very much guided by him at that time. I got my own sort of feel about it, but to be honest, I didn't disagree with what he was saying. I could see the purpose of it all and how it was giving more meaning and a bit more sort of demonstrative effect to the vocal.
brother, what I thought it really was. Glory be.
The percussion on the track was so pivotal, in establishing the plot of the song, right?
Yeah.
So to speak.
Yeah.
Did you play the drums on the track? I can't remember. I didn't see the liner notes on that.
No, I did. Mitch Murray had this idea of, because we were a working band and we were working flat out. I mean, sort of 8 nights a week. It was just unbelievable. And Mitch, tended to say, look, I can get some guys in. We can put a basic track down, so the work is done. You come in, you play along to it, and then we'll substitute and we'll change stuff so that it works, so that you are actually on the record. And I did Billy like that, and I did The Night Chicago Died like that. Clem Catini had a big role in, as he had a big role in most records of that era. And he came in and he did the work, and I didn't really have to think about what I had to play. I just thought, that works. I'll just mimic that, and that's how it came about.
What changed with the band after you had the chart-topping success in America? When you hit number one, was it the kind of thing where you knew you were making your way up the charts and you were looking every week where you were at? Or did you just find out when you hit number one? What was... We sort of followed it avidly. When somebody says you're in the American charts, you think, how's that work? As Mitch Murray said, the next record, we're going to get you in the charts in the States. It was a great time for radio, 70s radio. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, great era. Well, in many conversations with artists based in the UK, I've discussed how exciting it was to have a hit song in America. Did you know that it was going to be a hit? No, I don't think so. I think Mitch was more convinced than we were. We hoped that what Mitch Murray was telling us on a daily basis was going to come true. Billy Don't Be a Hero. It's a heavy, dramatic narrative, but the song really...
Don't be a hero, come back to me.
The story of how it became a smash on 2 different continents by 2 different bands, that's a wild one. I always love these great stories about these songs number one single in the UK, Australia, Ireland, among others for Paper Lace, but it somehow wound up with Bo Donaldson and the Haywoods in America and was a monster hit for them, number one for 2 weeks, and then was number one single in Canada. In your words, Phil, you said that Bo Donaldson and the Haywoods inched the song. What do you mean by that? Tell me about that.
Well, basically, Mitch Murray was looking for a deal in America. While he was doing that, obviously, Bo Donaldson had heard the song, whatever, and he was in a garage somewhere rehearsing it and decided to put it out.
It's one of those what might have been. Had Billy Don't Be a Hero been a number one hit too, maybe you would have toured the U.S. Who knows? It's one of those what might have been. Well, so you have a huge number one song on both sides of the Atlantic. Billy Don't Be a Hero in England, The Night Chicago Died in America, right? It seemed like you got the whole world in your hands. The whole world knows about Paper Lace because both sides of the Atlantic, two different songs. Band was called the most successful group to come out of Nottingham. The future looked bright. Did you feel like at that moment we've arrived, it's going to be smooth sailing down the road now, or did you?
Absolutely. I remember when we reached number one in the UK because we were a band just touring around doing clubs and pubs and all the rest of it. You rang the BBC, a certain office in the BBC, on a Tuesday, and it gave you chart position. And this guy on the end said, "You're at number one." And I said, "Crikey. That's amazing." Put the phone down, ran into, because the rest of the guys weren't up, they were just in bed. So I ran into the bedroom, jumped on Cliff's bed, and I said, "Guess what? Guess where we are in the charts?" And he said, What? He just woke up, and I said, "We're number one. We're number one." And I said to him, I says, "We'll never have to worry about money again." The things you say, because that's what I thought. This is it. We've done it. We've made it. What else is there?
I love that story.
The night Chicago died.
Leave us a comment about Paper Lace and their Bottle Lightning classic, The Night Chicago Died. What are your memories of this novelty hit? Man, such a cool song. I remember this one, especially with Jack Black singing it. Let us know below. Let's have a great discussion. If you like our content, we invite you to subscribe. Till next time, 3 chords and the truth, my friends.